Hi, audience.
Hello.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Julia.
And together we are Functionally Illiterate, meeting for the final time to discuss the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
That's right. We're not. Nobody is sad here except for the characters.
Yeah, I'm sad.
Yeah, it's a sad time.
Yeah.
Well, chapter 21 isn't sad.
No.
No.
It's some good reveals that happen.
And chapter 23 isn't all that sad.
Um,
Chapter 22 is majorly sad.
Okay, I was gonna say, okay, yeah. No, 23 is not that sad. 23, obviously, it's kind of the finale. But
yeah.
22,
yeah.
God, that chapter sucked. Yeah. I mean, it was great, but it sucked.
It's what I would consider the climax of the story.
100%.
Yeah. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna be covering, like you may have gathered, chapters 21 through 23 of the 5th season. These are the final 3 chapters of the book. So if you're just now joining us, that's weird. Hey, you should go start at the beginning.
Yeah, definitely want to listen to this in chronological order. Otherwise, you're going to be like, what the F are they talking about?
Yeah. Also, my audio recordist, Chris, assures me that you cannot hear the music. But we are recording at VidWest Studios. Thank you, VidWest. And it is a shared space. And at the moment, we have a band playing. We can hear them quite well. But once again, Chris assures me that even though they are jamming their hearts out, you cannot hear them. So we'll see.
If they can, that's just a little,
it's just a little treat, little undertone,
little treat. Yeah. Chapter 21. You're getting the band back together.
So this chapter starts off with a confrontation.
Bombshell moment, big
Tonky
moment.
Is Beanoff.
Yeah.
Remember Beanoff? You remember that really fucking annoying kid?
Following you around at the fulcrum, getting you in trouble?
Yeah. So, so that kid grew up to become Tonky. So, this chapter, it's a lot of revelations, right? Like, you're getting the band back together in reference to the fact that, like, lots of characters that you've encountered over the course of this book, turns out that they are in this underground comm in a geode called Castrema.
I love a reunion.
Right? So everyone introduces themselves properly now, right? Like, Tonky explains how she became who she is. Basically, well, she was part of the leadership cast, and there were some things that were just not done, right? Like, it's not done for a leadership person to not be a leader.
Right.
And it's definitely not done for a boy to be a girl. No, that's not allowed. And so, because Beamoff was a girl, she wasn't interested in being a leader. Because she was a girl, she skirted past some arranged marriages that she should have, that she should have been married off to some woman, and that didn't happen. And so they set her up with a fake name and sent her off to
that school,
to the 7th University.
Yeah,
which I think it's funny why it's called the 7th University, because it explains this over the course of the chapter. Basically, whenever a university gets destroyed and rebuilt, that's when it gets a new number. And so, like, I don't remember if it mentioned it in this chapter or an earlier one, but there was a reference made to the 6th University, and the reason why it was destroyed was because they tried to capture and experiment on a Stone Eater. And the Stone Eaters didn't like that, so they destroyed the 6th University, and they built the 7th University once they collected enough books from the rubble to justify making another university.
And 7th time is the charm. Yeah.
We love 7. Lucky number 7. Yeah.
I think the world's at a better place now. Nothing should happen to that university. We don't have to worry.
So Tonky, she devoted her life to studying the obelisks.
Yeah.
That was her primary source of study while she was at 7th University, and she discovered quite a lot. And the reason why she did it is because of that thing that
they found in the fulcrum.
Right.
Yeah.
When Demaya and Beamoff found that secret room, they found like a weird socket-looking thing, and Demaya who became Syenite, who became Aesun, didn't put much thought into it, but Beanoff, who became Tonki, sure did.
Yeah, she did.
She was like, this is where the obelisks were made.
She's been obsessing over it and kind of obsessing over Aesun, Syenite, Demaya,
whatever you want to call her. She's been watching you for 30 years. She's like, and so like Aesun's like mad about that, and Tonki's like, I wasn't watching you personally for 20 years, you know? Like,
right.
And she's like, what do you mean? And Tonki's like, my family is richer than the Emperor, okay? And it's like, wow, major flex, bro.
Okay, Nepo baby.
So yeah, she developed like a secret group of sorts that had developed an interest in the obelisks, because the obelisks weren't really something that anybody was interested in.
Right. Which is like interesting to me. Like how are people not interested in that?
Well, they get into that in the prologue, actually.
Yeah.
They said in the prologue, basically, nobody gave a shit about the obelisks because they were a relic from a long dead civilization. They don't do anything. They just float around in the sky. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Is basically what it was.
They're just used to it, so...
Well, I mean, that's this world's attitude, right?
Right.
Like, the basic attitude is, who gives a fuck about dead civs? They're dead. They failed.
Right.
Which I think is, more than anything, probably the flaw of this civilization, is, like, so easily discounting the civilizations that came before them.
They don't think... There's nothing we can learn from these failed...
Civs.
So, yeah, nothing to learn there.
Right.
That, you know, from their mistakes or whatever.
Right. Like, you could learn a lot from their mistakes.
Right.
You know, that's kind of how history works. But, anyways, yeah, so for like 20 years, she had people, like, keeping an eye on Syenite, and then she was like, we lost you for a little bit there 10 years ago, but then, well, you know. And that well, you know, is in reference to the next chapter. And we're going to get into that well, you know, in the next chapter.
Yeah.
Because it's sad, and I don't want to talk about it right now.
It sucks.
So yeah, Tonki, she said that, like, a few years, like, she figured out that, Aesun was in Turimo because there were 2 obelisks that had a flight path, basically, that kind of centered around Turimo, and that's how she figured it out, because obelisks follow origins that are capable of controlling them.
Right.
And so she had a hunch that Demaya Syenite was one such origin that could control them, and then, like, you know, the fact that they kept following her around basically confirmed that for her. And about 3 or so years ago, the 2 obelisks that were following Syenite around started to speed up, and she was like, do you know why that happened? Like, so Tonki, she decided to pose as a comless person to, like, get close to Syenite and to, like, more closely study those obelisks. And so, yeah, so she asked Syenite, like, do you know why their flight path sped up? And so she quietly thinks to herself, I had 2 children.
Yeah.
But out loud, she says, I'm going to bed, or something.
F you.
Yeah. Well,
done with this combo.
She says, go take a bath. I need to think.
Oh, yeah, because she's like, she's starting to smell again.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
She's like, I also smell.
Yeah.
Everybody smells.
And so, yeah, so Tonki, you know, leaves. And then she talks to Hoa.
Hoa.
And confirms that Hoa is, in fact, a Stone Eater.
I love Hoa.
Hoa's great. Yeah, I like him.
He's a little cutie. And he just, like, wants to curl up and snuggle with her.
Yeah.
I just love him.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so in this moment, Aesun confronts him and is like, "You're a Stone Eater," and he's like, "Yeah." And then like he pulls out his little bundle and shows her what's in it, which what he shows her are all these little crystals, and then he eats one, and it's
snack.
very much a crystal. It's not rock candy.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, "That's your food," and he's like, "This is me."
Yeah.
And she doesn't get what that means, and he reiterates it once, but, like, he doesn't explain it,
Mhm.
and so, like, she knows that if he wanted her to know, he would explain it.
Right.
But instead, he just is like, "This is me." So, what do you think that means, those crystals being him?
Oh, what a great question. I feel like the Stone Eaters are, like, kind of the biggest mystery for us. Now, well, no, there's several, but it's obviously one of the big ones, and
I'm more interested in what the fuck is up with the Guardians, personally.
I'm interested about the Guardians, but I'm also kind of interested in like what the Stone Eaters want from the Origin.
Right.
Like because Alabaster has his little Stone Eater friend.
Yes, he
and,
does.
And we have Hoa, who is here because he likes us.
Yeah.
Which is the cutest thing I've ever read in my life. Like literally, she's like, "Why'd you pick me?" He's like, "I like you." Like it's just so cute.
And then she's like, "Okay, but then why are you like this? Like you have your own way of getting around." And he's like, "I wanted to travel with you."
It's just so cute. It's adorable.
And then he says, "I will never hurt you."
Yeah, but that's the thing that I'm stuck on is like, what is their motivation? Is it as simple as like these Stone Eaters just like form a bond with the Origin, like and like I don't know. I think that part of me thinks not that I don't think that they're malicious, but they want something from them. I just don't know what that is.
Fair.
But he just is like, I don't know. With the rock, sorry, I went on a tangent.
No,
not a damn clue.
You're fine.
That's his little snack, I guess.
Hey, I take it to mean like he needs to eat those to maintain like himself.
Yeah.
Basically, like he's taking on the form of a human.
Okay.
And that's not something Stone Eaters do. So I feel like he like eating those is his maintenance.
Sure.
Basically, like because it's not food. He's clear that it's not food. It's him.
It's cute.
Yeah. So. And then Aesun makes a comment about, like, the others like him are here, and he's like, they aren't like me.
Yeah.
It's like, well, alright then, fine, whatever.
That's like, none of the Stone Eaters seem to really get along.
No, the Stone Eaters, they're all very... Do you know what they remind me of?
Huh. They
remind me of dogs being very territorial of their person.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, they're very... They feel almost innocent in a way to me. Like, they're like, why do they seem so cute to me? Like, mostly it's Hoa, but like, he's adorable.
Right.
I want one.
You want one? So Aesun sleeps, and then when she wakes up, she goes to bathe, and so apparently bathing is like at the lowest point in the geode, which is interesting. But yeah, so she's bathing, and then, like, halfway through her bathing, there's Lerna, the doctor from the beginning of the book.
Is she a little nervous to run into Lerna? Didn't leave things on great terms when she left that village.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she was like, wait, why is he here? He should be in Torimo. Oh, right. Oops.
I kind of destroyed that.
And so he's like, and then, like, he's looking at her, and then he gets a little bit shy because, she's naked.
Right.
It's like, I'll leave you to it. I'll let you finish, but then we should talk. And Aesun is just like, I don't know why he's being so nervous about it. He helped me, like, give birth to my children, for fuck's sake. Well, her second child. I don't think it was the first one. But, yeah, so then they walk to his place, and then he tells his story about what happened to him since she left. He left a day after she did because things just went south fast, right? Like, it honestly, it felt a lot like the Crucible, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah? In what way?
Well, okay, hold on, let me explain. So, audience, we mentioned it once before, but so, Julia and I, we were in a play this year, well, not this year, last year. We were in a play last year, in 2023, called The Crucible, and I played Reverend Hale, Julia played Elizabeth Proctor. The way it felt like The Crucible is because Lerna, it was saying, like, as soon as everything went to hell, everyone was, like, accusing everyone else of being a Raga or a Raga lover. And they were all turning against each other, and all of the strongbacks were stealing the food, and they were getting drunk and belligerent. Half of them were, and the other half weren't getting drunk, which was worse because they were doing it quietly.
Right.
And so Lerna was just like, it's only a matter of time before people notice me and remember that I used to be friends with your family, so I left.
It's probably a really smart decision.
Yeah, I think so. I
love that comparison, by the way. That's great.
Yeah, I thought of that just now. But yeah, it was it kind of gives me that vibe.
Yeah,
you know, like,
I could see that for sure.
Torimo just went so south so fast after we fucked it all up.
Yeah, you know what? They had it coming.
Yeah.
Some of them, maybe.
Yeah. Well, so, yeah, Lerna left, and he was trying to find his way to another comm called Brightness, I believe he said it was called. That was the comm that his mother came from. He'd never been there personally, but he knew that his mother's family was there, and he's a doctor, so, you know, they'd probably take him in. But he got lost. He only ever left Torimo like a couple times, one of which to go study to be a doctor. So he wasn't very good at, like, navigation or anything, and yeah, he got lost, and he was, like, with a caravan group for a while, and he was, and then, you know, he split off, and he was with, a guy and his daughter. They didn't have weapons. A bandit group killed the father, and then he grabbed the father's daughter and ran.
Yeah. And
the daughter, who was, like, 15, accused him of being a coward, and went her own way. And so they soon, when she hears this, is like, you did the right thing. Like, there was nothing you could have done. Like, you both would have died if you tried to stop him. Like, better to live a coward than die a hero. Right. You know? And, like, it's written in stone lore. Straight up. And so, yeah, but, like, clearly the experience is stuck with him. Yeah. And he...
a little traumatized, maybe.
Yeah, and so he was trying to find his way, and eventually he found Castrima. And they took him in 2 weeks ago.
And now
we're here.
We're here.
And then we tell Lerna everything that happened to us up to this point.
Right.
And he says, Jija and Nasun aren't here. And then we get real depressed about it.
Yeah, because, you know...
what do we do now?
I think we were holding out hope that maybe we just haven't ran into them, which, like, kind of just feels a little, like, come on. Why would he go there if he hates Origin, like, as much as he does?
He wouldn't know that they were even there.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't know that they were there. The only reason she knew was because of Hoa.
I don't think they would let him in.
You think so?
No.
No?
He's a hater.
He's a... yeah. But yeah, so she, you know, Lerna tells her that, and he's been here for 2 weeks, so you know, and she's sad about it. And what does he say to her? I don't even remember.
Oh, I don't know. Asking for a specific? I couldn't say.
Well, anyways, conversation doesn't really go anywhere from there, other than Lerna telling her, like, you know, she should stay here, basically. And so we go back to our apartment, which we share with Hoa and with Tonki. Tonki gets her own room. Right. She needs it. Yeah. She stinks.
Right. She said, just you stay in there.
You just, yeah. And so, Hoa says, hey, there's someone here from Humanus.
Screaming.
Who wants to see you. And we're like, we don't know anyone from Humanus. And then quietly we're thinking, not anymore. And, so yeah, Hoa's like, well, he wants to see you. He said he wants to know if you can do it yet. Do what? I don't know. He just said it. But he told me to tell you that if you weren't going to go, that you owe him because of Corundum. And then that's, like, the thing that tips us off. Like, it's Alabaster. Yep, that's his name. His name's Alabaster. Oh, yeah, and he's dying.
I know. Yeah. My heart.
That's how the chapter ends. And Then we get a blurb, and this is a long one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like they took this from the appendix.
Okay.
Madness season. 3 years before Imperial, 7 years Imperial. So it lasted 10 years. The eruption of the Kiosh traps multiple vents of an ancient supervolcano, parentheses, the same one responsible for the twin season, believed to have occurred approximately 10,000 years previous, close parentheses, launched large deposits of olivine and other dark-colored pyroclasts into the air. The resulting 10 years of darkness were not only devastating in the usual seasonal way, but resulted in a much higher than usual incidence of mental illness. The Sanzid warlord Varish conquered multiple ailing Khams through the use of psychological warfare, designed to convince her foes that gates and walls offered no reliable protection, and that phantasms lurked nearby. She was named Emperor on the day the first sunlight reappeared. This is a quote from The Seasons of Sansa. I think that's interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea that this specific season was worse for people because of seasonal depression.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I deal with personally.
Yeah.
It's tough, like just not having sunlight.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
we're supposed to be out and getting that vitamin D, like.
And I'm working during all the sunlight hours. By the time I get off work, it's dark. It sucks.
Go to work dark. Come home.
Dark.
Yeah.
So I can see why there was more issues during that season than other seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting that like this lady, this warlord. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
Fuck. I hated that.
Oh.
It hurt.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, I just think it's interesting the way her name was Varish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how she was just like using total psychological warfare against these people. Just like, hey, yeah, no, you all are gonna die, and nothing that you think works. And it's dark, and it's never gonna be light again.
Yeah, like just as cruel as it can be.
Day 1 of sunlight. Okay, you're the emperor now.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
Chapter 22. Syenite Fractured.
So, there's 2 parts of this chapter. There's the return, and then there's the end of Mayoff. And this is the climax of the chapter. It's a long one, so let's get into it.
Mm.
So they got back to the island 5 days after Syenite shut the volcano down.
Yeah.
That was left of Aaliyah. And she's not in the greatest of moods, but she tells Enon, go do your thing, go tell your stories. Everyone wants to hear your stories, and I don't want you to have to deal with my sullenness. So she goes back to the home that she shares with Alabaster and their son.
Mm-hmm.
And Alabaster has 2 newly fashioned rings for her. I think one was made out of pearl, and the other one was made out of like emerald or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, he presents her with these rings, and he's like, a 4-ringer couldn't have done that. You're not a 4-ringer.
Jade and Mother of Pearl.
Jade and Mother of Pearl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she rejects them. She's like, we're free.
Right.
She says it very pointedly in reference to a conversation they had 2 years ago.
Right.
And I think he takes on an interesting stance here where he kind of defends the Fulcrum a little bit.
Uh-huh.
He was like, listen, if Enon had attempted to do what you did, he would have destroyed himself and probably kicked off another season.
Right.
You saved the world.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, after I put it in at risk, after I put it in jeopardy. And then, like, we have a really interesting conversation here, right? Where he says, we are what we are. And he tries and comforts her a little bit. And he's like, we are Mishalim, not Shemshema. And that's in reference to one of the first chapters that we had
With Shafa,
with
right?
Shafa and Damaya. Yeah, he tells her this story about Shemshema, and he tells it in such a way where like Damaya's like, "Oh, I like that story," and then like he makes clear, "You're not Shemshema.
You're not the hero here.
You're not the hero here."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You heard that story, right?" She's like, "Of course I did." And she's thinking about her hand, and her hand twitches when she thinks about it. And he's like, "Yeah, lots of guardians like to tell kids that story." And then he gives some much needed context to that story, right? Mm-hmm. Like he talks about why Mislam did what he did in the first place. He was like, this was right after the season of teeth. And he talks about the season of teeth, which the reason why it's called that is because it went on for so long that people ran out of food, and so they started cannibalizing each other.
Yeah. And
then the Sansa people kept doing it after the season was over, and so they took Mislam, and they would raid other territories of their people, of the lesser races, and they would eat the lesser races. And so Mishalam's family was taken in one of those raids, and he was pissed, and he was a powerful origin, so he did something about it, and he died in the process, but that's why, that happened. And it gives, I think, a much-needed context to that story that Shafa told us that I think changes changes it considerably. Mm-hmm. Like the way he told it reinforces this narrative of like, you need to be stopped, you need to be controlled.
Sure.
But he didn't need controlling. He needed his family to not be eaten by the Empire.
Right.
Fuck, dude.
It's crazy. Literally. Oh my god.
So, yeah, and so, they talk about that, and he talks a little bit about, like, he talks about, like, the reason why he even knows that, and it's because, like, he had rings before most grits were even in puberty, right? Like, he was so far along at a young age that he, they kept him away from most people his age, because most people his age were grits. Mm-hmm. But to make up for it, they let him have pretty much open access to their libraries. So he read a lot. And that's why he knows a lot of stuff like this. And also he learned quite a bit from a former lover he had. And he gets shy talking about it. And Syenite's thinking to herself, like, I don't know why he's so fucking shy about this. I've seen Enon fuck the shit out of him so many times. But then she thinks, maybe it's not the fucking that he's shy about. This episode is brought to you by the Greg Bush for House District 50 campaign. Greg Bush is a registered nurse's advocate, proud union member, husband, and father who has called Columbia home for 18 years this May. I know him from church and co-starred with his spouse in a Maplewood Barn production last year, one that Julia was actually in.
Yeah, and she's wonderful.
She played
Tituba.
That's right. And we played Reverend Hale, and you played
Elizabeth Proctor.
Yeah.
Goody Proctor.
Yeah. Well, now he is running for House District 50, which is in Southern Columbia. He worked his way up the ranks at MU Healthcare and put himself through school to become a registered nurse after starting as a janitor in 2006. Greg is running as an advocate for patients and nurses since he's been on the front lines of watching the outcome of extremist politicians in Jeff City. He has 3 children, 1 graduate with 2 children still in Columbia Public Schools. He'll be a fierce advocate for public education in Columbia. As a member of a working family, he already has the endorsement of 2 of the largest unions in Missouri since he's a union member and has been for nearly a decade.
Hell yeah, we love unions.
We do love unions. Check him out at Greg Bush for House District 50 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider sending a little money his way via his Act Blue.
Give him money and vote for him.
Please vote for him.
Yeah.
If assuming you're in House District 50. If you can't vote for him, please consider donating money to his Act Blue. I will have his Act Blue link in the episode description.
Don't be cheap.
Back to the show. But anyway, so they have that conversation, and Syenite kind of ends the conversation telling Alabaster that she thinks she saw a guardian at Aaliyah, and he gets real dark in this moment, and he says, I will tear the world apart if they hurt us again. And she's thinking to herself, but you'll still be hurt.
Oh, it's so deep.
It really is. It really cuts deep.
I know. Oh my god. I loved him. I loved that little viciousness that we got from Alabaster, because, like, while he's obviously, like, so powerful and everything, like, you don't always, like, see that side of him, because
he really tries hard not to.
Yeah. But he's protective of this family and community he built. Like, he's got a lot to lose. I think he knows that.
Yeah. And so then we get to the meat of the chapter. So it's 3 weeks later.
This is a fitting song for the.
So I'm assured that you can't hear this song, but we've got Aerosmith playing. Anyways, so
it's awesome. It's awesome.
So it's 3 weeks later. It's a really wonderful day. The weather is so nice.
It is.
And it's so nice that that everyone in the comm wants to go to the heights of the island, really up high in the cliffs to just, like, enjoy the day, everybody's picking up the kiddos, everybody's picking up food and fish and all that and taking it up there. Syenite takes a book that they got on the raid up there with her, and, like, she thinks it's, like, stupid, but she loves reading books that are just for fun.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're all up there, and
it's
they're dancing.
It's not stupid, by the way, Syenite. You do that. You read, you little bookworm.
She is. But so, yeah, they're all up in the heights, and they're dancing and eating and just having a great old time. And there's this bit about, like, how everybody's touching Alabaster because, like, they know that he likes being touched. And Syenite speculates that it's because everybody was afraid of him in the Fulcrum.
Yeah.
He was very touch-starved. And there's this little bit about how, like, the people are very accepting of her, too, even though they don't touch her. It's like, you don't need to be so guarded around us. And, like, she knows that. She just doesn't need them to tell her. I disagree. I think this is pride here. I think they do need to tell her. I think she does need to hear that. But nobody ever said it. And so, yeah, they're up there, and then Alabaster is talking to her, and it's an interesting conversation. And it's such a juxtaposed conversation of tragedy, given what happens immediately afterwards. But he's talking about, like, I'm happy here. We should have another kid.
Let's have another baby.
And she's like, no, I didn't want the first one. And he's like, well, you could have a baby with Enon. And
she's like, we gotta ask him. You can't
just decide that for him. But, like, it's not, like, an intense conversation. It's just, it's a tender one. Right? Like, the whole reason why he's even saying it is because he's happy here.
And he feels safe.
And, like, they've got a family. It's an unorthodox one, but it is a family. And it's a happy one.
Yeah.
And then Syenite's thinking to herself, I hope that, like, and it's always like this forever. And so, of course, it isn't. Like, literally that afternoon, everything goes to shit. So there was 4 ships, I think?
Yeah, 4 ships.
There was 4 ships that appeared, and it was very clear that they were Imperial ships, and everybody freaks out because, they're not an official comm. Like, there's no reason Imperial ships should be there. There's only one reason they would be. And so this... I feel like I'm gonna kind of be all over the place with this because it's war.
There's so much that happens in these next few pages. Like,
and it's all from Syenite's point of view,
right?
So,
but they want to get the ship ready, right?
Yeah. So they want to get people off of the island, but the ship's not big enough, and so they're trying to use, like, all of the smaller boats too. Alabaster's like, I will not let them destroy this island. He runs down there, and so he does an interesting thing that pisses Enon off, which is he makes this, with his powers, he makes this huge stone wall cutting the harbor off from the rest of the island, which is awkward because you can't get on or off this island except via the harbor.
Right.
Because the rest of it's just like a bunch of jagged cliffs, like it's really difficult to even get onto the island other than the harbor that they built.
Yeah. And
so Enon uses his powers to like kind of knock some holes in it so they can get through it. And Syenite's like, here, take Koru. You're the only other one that he will let hold him.
Right.
And Enon wants to like help too, but Syenite's like, no, like
you're taking care of the kid.
You're taking care of the kid. Yeah. And so she runs. She makes it through the wall, and she sees what Alabaster's doing, and he's got a pile of huge fucking boulders, and he's just like using his powers to chuck them at the ships.
Yeah.
And Syenite's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And shoot, what happens after that? If I remember correctly, Syenite tries to...
They have the cannons, too.
They have cannons.
Yeah, that's big.
They talk about how cannons are, like, a newer technology.
Yeah.
That the Empire has been experimenting with in the last few years.
They're like, let's experiment on them.
Yeah, so they, hold on, I'm trying to remember. So... Syenite tries to use her powers directly on the ships.
Yeah, she doesn't take out the backside because you can't hurt the Guardian.
The Guardians on those ships, and so they are, because they've got like an anti-magic field or whatever, they are preventing a direct attack. And that's when she realizes, that's why Alabaster's chucking boulders at them, because you can't directly hurt them.
Right.
And so she gets an idea because that's when she talks about realizes like there's no way on or off the island other than this harbor that Alabaster's wrecking, and she gets an idea. She breaks off part of the cliff to drop it on one of the ships.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then Alabaster gets injured by a cannon, and so this bit was a little unclear to me how it injured him because he was still standing. But I'm guessing it was like shrapnel or something.
I think rock explodes and hurts him.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Like, because it probably struck the cliffside near him. Yeah. So she runs up to him and she's like, I took out one of the ships. I can take out the others too if you can't. And, and it's all bluster. She's just saying it to make him feel better. And so he's badly injured. And it's the weirdest thing. The Stone Eaters are, like, taking him away now.
He's being sucked into the stone.
And she's sessing it, and it's like the power of a mountain is taking him, and he's fighting it, but he's weak, so he can't, like... The only, it's like the stone has become quicksand, and it's slowly taking him. It was fucking creepy.
Well, and I, like, did I just envision this wrong? Like, she tries to pull him out, doesn't she? Or
I think she does try to help him, but she just can't. You know, because it's because she's sessing the strength of a mountain that's taking him. Like, it's just too strong.
And one of the last things he says to her too is he's like, protect and keep Koru away from the Guardians.
Promise me you won't let them take him.
Yeah, because we know what happens to Alabaster's children.
Yeah, they become fucking node maintainers. Basically. And it's messed up. And so she promises, and then like he's gone. He's just swallowed up by the earth. Yeah. And she's fucking so mad at those Stone Eaters too. Yeah. She's like,
he could have done so much, and the Stone Eaters like, absolutely not. You're coming with me.
Yeah.
Protective.
Very protective of him.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily protective.
Yeah, he's
like one of the strongest ones.
They needed him.
Yeah.
Stone Eaters.
So, it's,
And after that, we see, it's like confirmed, okay, there are origins on these ships because one of the ships was like tipped over and it rights itself. And so She's like, fuck.
this is a problem. And
Yeah.
then she meets back up with Enon, and Enon's like, I gotta go fight. And
Take the baby.
Take the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is like the most fucked up part.
Oh my god,
Or
I can't even.
It's like definitely in the top 3 most fucked up moments of this chapter.
My jaw was on the floor. Yeah.
So, one of the Guardians, who we immediately discover afterwards is Shafa, takes his hands, puts them on the sides of Enon's head, and she can sense it happening. All of Enon's power is turned inward against himself, turned evil.
Yeah.
And so his own power, because it's turned inward, rips him apart.
Yeah.
And he's just a pile of
He like explodes,
body
essentially.
matter. Well, it implodes, I would say, because
right.
Because it doesn't go everywhere. It turns into a pile. And
that I loved that character. We get 2-3 chapters of him before they take him away.
It feels like he's been around more than that.
I know. She did a great job, like, making you care for him in such a short period of time.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Very impressive.
And so, yeah, then Shafa's there, and he's just his normal, happy-go-lucky self, just
Shafa.
very kindly like a child.
Where have you? We've been missing you.
You've been gone for so long.
I'm creepy.
And he realizes that Alabaster's gone. He's like, it's a shame. And he warns Syenite, it's like, it's not a good thing that the Stone Eaters have him. Better that he would have been with us.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, well, I have his child. That'll be good enough. And the Syenite's like, no, fuck no. You are not having this child. And she thinks to herself, better that a child never be born at all than live a life as a slave.
Yeah, and I think she thinks that about the child for sure, but also herself. In some terms. Like, when she makes the decision to use the obelisk to, like, go boom.
Yeah.
I think she assumes she's gonna kill herself in the process.
But yeah, she Shafa's like, give me that child. And she's like, no. And Shafa's like, oh, Syenite, I've told you never to say no to me. And she's like, no, you fucking bastard. And she kills her kid. Yeah. She killed the kid. And then she latched on to the amethyst obelisk and used that to wreck shit. She just wrecked fucking everything.
Yeah, made it all go boom.
No survivors.
Except for her.
Right.
Wait, so is it confirmed Shafa dies like that?
I don't know, man, but like...
That's my question, because, like, I guess I know they can't hurt the Guardians, like, using your power, but, like, there are workarounds onto it.
She grabbed onto the obelisk.
So if using the obelisk, like, can you hurt?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, like, it's not really clear.
No, we don't know.
It's more about the emotion and the context, less so about, like, what actually is physically happening. Yeah. It's just clear that whatever happened, there's no survivors. Or if there is, she's not aware of it. Right.
And she then just wanders for 2 years until she finds her little calm that she calls home.
And so this was the interesting bit, because this chapter in a way gets its own epilogue before it ends. Yeah. Right? Because then we get this narration of her, of Aesun, and then we find out who the narrator is. The narrator is Hoa.
Hoa! Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. And it's he is telling Aesun the story of her, which is weird. Like, I'm wondering what the context is. Like, I mean, this is a trilogy, so maybe it'll be explained in the third book. Right. Like, why is it he is telling her who she is? That's the bit.
Did she forgot everything? Like, maybe something happened. And,
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so that's how that chapter ends. With that revelation.
Then the last one.
And the last chapter.
Which chapter.
Is very short.
Yes.
Very short.
Chapter 23. You're all you need.
So, this chapter didn't take any notes on it because I didn't feel like I needed to. It's only like 5 pages.
Yeah.
So it is Aesoon going to meet Alabaster again after 10 years.
I told you I love you.
And Alabaster's fucked.
Yeah, he's like made of stone. He's missing limbs. He's literally dying. Hoa was very much correct.
Yeah, so he is turning into stone, and his left hand is gone.
Yeah.
It is a stump at the wrist. And so to answer your question that you asked me earlier about what the Stone Eaters want, I think they literally want to eat Origins turning into stone, because there was bite marks on his stone nub of a wrist.
The way this just went right over my head. Oh my god.
Yeah, and so...
Hoa's not so cute anymore.
Well, so I don't think Hoa
kidding.
wants to do that.
Yeah, I don't think Hoa.
You know, I think it could, like, Hoa was very
He would
clear.
never.
He was like, I will never hurt you.
I like you.
Right, and she's wondering why he keeps saying that.
Yeah.
But I think in this moment, there was a thing there where it became clear to her, like, why he kept saying that, because now she knows why Stone Eaters get their name. They get their name because they eat the Stone of Origins.
Oh my god.
And I think that's why they get so attached and territorial to their origins.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Shafa was warning Syenite all those years ago.
Being like,
you know,
nothing's worse than hanging out with the Stone Eater.
Yeah.
Because they will eat you.
They sure fucking will, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so Alabaster is just, you know, talking to her. They're getting to know each other again. He's like Syenite. She's like Aesoon now.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a little weird for him.
Yeah.
And,
he's like, I should be really pissed off at you right now. You literally killed our child after I said protect them.
No, yeah. What he said was, I understand why you did what you did, and I will never forgive you for it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know if you could do it. And she's like, what is it? And he's like, can you control an obelisk? You know, they follow you around. Can you control them? And I forget what she says in that moment. Look at me, so confident that I know the whole chapter, even though it's...
Yeah, no. Oh, she said, I don't understand. Yada, yada, yada.
Listen to music.
I can't find... Well, I found it, but... She's basically going back and she's like, I don't want to understand, but you do. You don't want to believe, but really you have all along. Like, she's having some internal...
An internal conflict.
Yeah, and then
everything.
she realizes you tore that rift up north. You split the continent. You started the season with the obelisks. You did all of that.
Yeah.
So it's like when he's asking, it's like this internal conflict, and then she comes to conclusion.
Yeah.
This is
your
fault.
It's your fault. And he's like, yeah, I did.
And he said with the help of the node maintainers who are all at peace now. So he basically got the help of the node maintainers and then killed them all, I'm assuming.
Yes. The way I understand it, he yoked himself, as he puts it, he yoked himself to all of the node maintainers and to the obelisks.
Yeah.
He used all of that power to split the continent in half and destroy Humanus.
Yeah, he's amazing. Well, because she's like, oh, you're trying to fix it. And he's like,
oh, no.
No, I'm trying to destroy everything.
I'm not trying to fucking fix a fucking thing. You know, like, I need you to make things worse, actually. And she's like, what? And then the chapter ends in, like, the fucking coolest way. He's like, tell me, have you ever heard of something called a moon? And that's the way the book ends.
That's it.
That's it.
And so I thought about this for a little. What do you think what do you think he's talking about with the moon? Like, obviously it's moons, but do you think that they have some sort of, like, interaction with the obelisks? Like, are there they're both, what does a moon, an actual moon as we know it, and an obelisk, like, have in common? They're floating in the sky.
Right. Yeah.
But, like, this is the first mention of
a moon.
Yeah. So
This is what they were talking about in the interlude.
Right.
I was wondering about it at the time. I even said it offhandedly, like maybe they're talking about a moon.
So
or...
Alabaster is the man in the interlude, or in the beginning of the book.
He totally is.
Yeah,
he's gotta be.
That's what I
I speculated that earlier, but I feel like that last chapter confirmed.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, like he totally wrecked everything. That conversation that he had at the beginning with the Stone Eater was his Stone Eater.
Yeah.
The one that saved them from Alia and the one that saved him from Mayav.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's just wild. Like I am wondering something now that, because, you know, we've been talking about it. And
yeah.
I'm putting some stuff together. I'm wondering if the thing Father Earth lost that made him so mad at humanity was the moon.
Wow, that's a good hypothesis, I think, or theory. Sorry,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, a theory is proven.
Okay,
hypothesis. Yeah, that's my hypo.
I like it.
Yeah.
I definitely could see that being the case. I don't know. I think that there's something to do with the moon and the obelisk, and I'm wondering if there's multiple moons. And
I mean, they don't have a moon. It sounds like like at all.
But I feel like they have some connection. I don't know.
Like the obelisks to
the moon, right?
Yeah,
but I don't know what.
Well,
there's still lots of mystery.
And there's 2 more books.
So
yeah,
it's time to clear it up for us. Yeah.
So I guess this is the wrap up, the conclusion. Like, let's just talk about the book itself in general.
Yeah.
Just like this is it's really fucking good.
It's really fucking good.
Like, it deserved that Hugo Award back in 2016.
She is just an absolute genius when it comes to world building. I think the pictures she's painted for us, and I mean, I think that's what people talk about a lot when they talk about this season, but I think that the characters are almost just as important. The way she has like the love that you can have. Mm-hmm. She can really pull some strong emotions out of you. I mean, quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because it's, you know, it talks a lot about love. It talks about the different types of relationships you can have with love. It talks about positive relationships. It talks about abusive relationships.
Yep.
It talks about racism and prejudice and
which I would say is the overarching, you know, moral of the story here.
I think, I mean, it seems pretty clear to me that Alabaster destroyed the world because he, much like Father Earth, was mad at what humanity became.
And what I have to say to Alabaster is tear it up. Tear it up, King!
But, I really enjoyed it. And I think we should read the second one.
Okay.
I think... Yeah. I want to... I mean, do we want to do that one next, or do we want to cover
you've already started it.
I did read the first 2 chapters, yes. I really enjoyed this one, and I wanted to read the next bit. And
so do you know what a moon is for sure, then?
I'm not going to get too into it, but...
Spoiler
he does.
Alert.
So the next book picks up exactly where this one left off.
Oh, cool.
And he gets into. He talks about the moon, and he talks about how I don't want to get into it. We need to talk about it when we talk about it.
All right. I think we definitely need to read it.
We should go ahead and read the next book.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next book is called The Obelisk Gate.
Obelisk Gate.
It came out in 2017. It also got a Hugo Award.
The year I graduated college.
That's the year you graduated college?
Yep, 2017.
I got my associates in 2017 also.
Look at us.
Yeah, look at that.
Graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. This has been so fun.
It has been very fun. It's
been
very fun. And it's such a good series.
Yeah.
You know, thank you to all of you who've been reading along with us.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm sorry. Ryan told me earlier today he doesn't cut out all the times that I like nervous laugh or just laugh. So, apologies for that. No, just kidding.
No, you're totally fine. Like,
you've heard me say some of the dumbest shit I've ever said in my life. No, I'm just joking.
No, I mean, I've said some dumb stuff too on other episodes. Well, anyways, I thank you for doing this with me, Julia.
Oh, I'm so happy
to. Yeah.
To
reading the Obelisk.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
So this has been the way this has been going in the lineup. This book I was reading with you while Zach was away, tending to his infant child.
Wow.
But now, so next week you should probably be hearing his and we're going to be talking about La Morte Arthur again. We're back at it.
Oh, shit.
We're going to do book 3. And while we're doing that, I'm going to be recording with you the next book.
Cool.
So once we are done recording the next book, we'll start putting those episodes out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good deal.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Midwest. Thank you, Chris, our audio recordist. Really hoping that you were able to filter out that sound. You assure me, so let's...
Chris is the best.
Yes.
If anybody can do it, it's him.
Yeah. Thank you, Jake Weller, for our music, and thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Did I forget anybody? Okay, I got it. Chris doesn't care. Chris, I thanked him.
That's it. Thank you, Ryan. This has been such a cool experience. So, yay.
See you guys next time.
Later.
Bye.